The day began like any other, with the soft hum of the kettle in my quiet kitchen and the sun streaming through the windows of my cozy home. I had lived in this neighborhood for over 20 years, and my neighbor, James, had always been a constant presence. He was polite, charming in a quiet way, and had a smile that could brighten even the gloomiest of days. But I'd always thought of him as just that, a neighbor, someone reliable but not much more. That morning, as I watered the plants in my garden, James called over from his side of the fence, waving a steaming mug of coffee. "Good morning, Claire. Need any help over there?" His tone was light, but there was an unfamiliar warmth in his voice that made me pause. "Oh, I think I've got it under control, James," I replied with a laugh. Still, I noticed the way his eyes lingered as I bent down to adjust a pot of begonias. It wasn't the first time I'd caught him looking, but I'd always dismissed it as harmless. We'd built a comfortable friendship over the years, and I wasn't about to let my imagination ruin that. Later that day, James knocked on my door, holding a small tray of freshly baked cookies. "Thought you might enjoy these," he said, his grin a little shy. I had some extra from a batch I made for my niece. I invited him in, as I often did, and we chatted at the dining table. He told me about his latest project at work, and I shared updates about my grandchildren. But this time, the conversation felt different. There was an energy between us, a subtle but undeniable tension that made my skin tingle. When he reached across the table to brush a crumb off my hand, the simple touch sent a jolt through me. I brushed it off, blaming my reaction on the glass of wine I'd had with lunch. But as the days went by, James seemed to find more reasons to drop by. He'd bring over tools when I mentioned a broken hinge, offer to carry groceries from my car, or simply stand by the fence, chatting long after the sun had set. One evening, as we stood in the glow of the porch light, I realized I was looking forward to his visits more than I wanted to admit. He made me laugh in a way I hadn't in years. And his presence filled a quiet corner of my life I hadn't even realized was empty. Still, I told myself it was nothing. I was a grown woman, far past the days of misreading intentions. But the way his eyes met mine when we said goodnight told me I wasn't imagining things. James wanted more than just friendship, and deep down, I wasn't sure I minded. The turning point came on a breezy autumn afternoon. I was pruning roses in the garden when James appeared at the fence, holding a basket of apples. "Fresh from the orchard," he said, setting them down on the table beside me. "Thank you, James." "You're too kind," I said, glancing up at him. His expression was different, serious, almost nervous. "Claire, can we talk?" he asked, his voice quieter than usual. I nodded, wiping my hands on my apron and motioning for him to sit on the bench. He hesitated, then took a deep breath. "I've been meaning to tell you something for a while now," he began, his eyes fixed on the ground. "I don't want to make things awkward, but I care about you, Claire. More than I probably should." The words hung in the air, and for a moment, I didn't know what to say. I could feel my heart pounding in my chest, a mix of surprise, fear, and something else I couldn't name. "James," I said finally, my voice barely above a whisper. "I don't know what to say." "You don't have to say anything," he replied quickly. I couldn't keep it to myself anymore. I know this might be the wrong time or the wrong situation, but I've never felt this way about anyone before. His vulnerability took me by surprise. James was always so composed, so sure of himself. Seeing him like this, bearing his emotions, made me realize how much he meant to me. I reached out, placing a hand on his. "James, you've been a wonderful friend. I value what we have, and I don't want to lose that." His face fell slightly, but he nodded. "I understand," he said, standing up. "I just needed you to know." As he walked away, I felt a pang of regret. I wasn't sure if I had made the right decision, but I knew one thing for certain: my life had changed in ways I couldn't ignore. The days that followed were filled with an awkward but undeniable tension. James kept his distance, and I missed our easy conversations. I found myself replaying his words, wondering if I'd been too quick to dismiss his feelings, or my own. One evening, as I sat on the porch watching the sunset, James appeared at the gate. He looked hesitant, holding a single rose in his hand. "May I join you?" he asked. I nodded, gesturing to the seat beside me. For a moment, we sat in silence, the cool breeze carrying the scent of jasmine from the garden. "Claire," he began, his voice steady. "I don't want to pressure you, but I need to know if there's any chance for us." I turned to him, my heart racing. "James, I've been thinking